William James came from a rich family but had lots of health problems. His eyes, stomach, and back gave him trouble, and he felt lonely because he couldn't make many friends or do well in school. But he loved painting. Sadly, no one liked his paintings, and he was often teased by his dad for being lazy and untalented. Meanwhile, his brother, Henry James, became a world-renowned novelist, and his sister, Alice James, did well as a writer too. William felt like the odd one out. To help his son, William's dad got him into Harvard Medical School. It was his last chance, his dad said. But William didn't like medicine, and he felt like a fake there. After all, if he couldn't overcome his own problems, how could he ever hope to have the energy to help others with theirs? He even felt more connected to the patients in a psychiatric hospital he visited. After a few years, and once again making his father unhappy, James left medical school. Instead of facing his father's anger, he chose to escape. He signed up for an adventure in the Amazon rainforest, joining an expedition with anthropologists. This was a long and dangerous journey, but he made it to the jungle. Sadly, he got sick with smallpox and his back problems came back. He was stuck in South America with no way to get home. Somehow, he eventually made it back to New England, but his dad was even more disappointed. William was almost 30 years old, unemployed, and felt like a failure. He thought about ending his life. One night, as James was reading the teachings of philosopher Charles Peirce, he got an idea. He wrote in his diary that he'd try something different for a year. He decided to spend 1 year believing that he was 100% responsible for everything that occurred in his life, no matter what. During this time, he'd do his best to change things, even if it seemed hard. If things didn't get better in a year, he'd think that he was truly powerless to the circumstances around him, and then he would take his own life. The amazing part of this story? William James became the father of American psychology. People all around the world have read his work, which has been translated into countless languages. He's seen as one of the most important thinkers of his time, covering topics like philosophy and psychology. He became a teacher at Harvard and traveled across the United States and Europe, giving talks to lots of people. He even got married and had 5 children, including one named Henry who became a famous biographer and won a Pulitzer Prize. James called his little experiment his rebirth and gave it credit for everything he achieved later in life. The lesson here is that we have responsibility over our lives, even when things are tough. We can choose how we react to what happens to us and what we care about. This choice can turn our lives around, just like it did for William James. So, what can we learn from William James? Well, it's a bit like the famous saying, with great power comes great responsibility. But if we turn it around, it becomes with great responsibility comes great power. William James took responsibility for his life when it seemed like everything was against him. And by doing so, he gained the power to transform his circumstances, becoming a towering figure in the world of psychology. So, remember, in your own life, when you take responsibility, you also gain the power to shape your destiny and achieve great things.